welcome to this deep dive.
Okay.
It's all about communication,
Right.
but like a specific element that's often overlooked.
Interesting.
It's concentration.
Oh, wow.
Concentration.
Okay.
Like when you're speaking, how concentrating can
wow.
elevate your message from just like words to something really impactful.
Makes sense.
So our guide for this deep dive is this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Concentration in Delivery.
Okay.
And it's from this book on public speaking.
Oh, cool.
And this chapter has some really intriguing ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, one is comparing concentration to a burning glass.
Oh, wow.
And it even kind of suggests that our brains might not actually be able to think two thoughts at the same time.
Interesting.
So yeah, buckle up.
Okay.
Because this could change how you approach like every presentation you give and every conversation.
Interesting.
I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But when I read that burning glass analogy, it really like caught my attention.
Yeah, that's such a vivid image.
It is.
It really gets to the heart of why concentration is so crucial for speakers.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like instead of just having all this like mental energy, just like scattered, you're focusing it like a laser beam to create something way more intense.
Right.
So I'm curious, how do you see this idea playing out in like actual real life speaking situations?
You know, think about a time when you were truly captivated by what someone was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Chances are they weren't just like reciting facts or going through the motions.
They were fully present.
They were fully present.
Yeah.
Completely focused on what they were trying to say.
Right.
And that focus, like it was contagious.
It is.
Yeah, you get drawn in. You hang on their every word.
Yes.
That's the power of concentration.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the chapter also goes into this idea that our brains might not be as good at multitasking as we think we are.
Like it uses that example of trying to rub your head and pat your chest at the same time.
I know.
Most of us really struggle with that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And it's just that maybe focusing on just one thing at a time might be a better strategy than trying to juggle like all these different thoughts.
Makes sense.
It does.
When you apply it to public speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
I've definitely caught myself like mentally jumping ahead to my next point before I even finish the current one.
It's like you said earlier.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like you end up with that scattered mental energy.
It is.
You're not giving each sentence like the attention it really deserves.
Yeah.
And that totally undermines the impact of your message.
The chapter actually calls this anticipation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it argues that this habit of thinking ahead leads to these like weak sentence endings and a loss of audience engagement.
So instead of trying to be like 2 steps ahead, the key is to stay fully present.
Fully present with each thought, each sentence.
With each thought, yeah.
Yeah.
But how does this relate to that idea of concentricity that the chapter mentioned?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
So concentricity refers to how a lens concentrates light by withdrawing its focus from like everything else.
So it's not just about directing your attention towards something.
Exactly.
It's also about...
It's about pulling it away from distractions.
Pulling it away. So it's like you're creating this mental vacuum where your message is the only thing that exists.
It's the only thing that
No distractions, no mental chatter.
It's just pure focused communication.
That's powerful.
It is a powerful concept.
But it also sounds incredibly challenging.
It does take practice and discipline, which is where willpower comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The chapter even encourages readers, which means you listening right now, to think about areas in your own lives where like improving concentration could make a difference. There's even a whole other chapter that's dedicated to developing willpower.
Interesting.
But let's go back to that war editorial.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That was a gripping example.
It was.
Like I felt like I was right there in the trenches with the soldiers experiencing the horrors of war firsthand.
Yeah.
The way it described the weeping widow, the fatherless children, the utter destruction.
It was heartbreaking, but incredibly effective.
It was heartbreaking, but it was so powerful.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was.
His editorial is such a powerful demonstration of how that concentrated thought combined with like the vivid language and the strong emotional appeals can truly move an audience.
It's true. Wow.
Yeah.
So really like highlighted how powerful
it did.
Focused communication can be.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering like, is this level of concentration only necessary for those like really big speeches?
Right.
Or could it also like benefit us?
That's a great question.
On our everyday conversations?
And I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
Like a resounding yes.
Okay.
These principles we've been talking about,
right.
they apply to any situation where you're trying to communicate clearly, make a real connection.
So even just like something simple as catching up with a friend over coffee.
Think about it.
Okay.
How often do you find yourself only half listening to someone?
All the time.
Your mind is already like formulating your response.
Or drifting off to my to-do list.
Exactly.
I'm so guilty of that.
Especially
when I'm excited about the topic.
Right. But the chapter suggests that that lack of presence can actually hinder real understanding and connection.
And that reminds me of something else the chapter touched on. This idea that words, without any real thought or feeling behind them, are basically meaningless.
It's like that famous line from Hamlet.
Oh, yeah.
Words.
I know that one.
They're just these empty vessels.
Right.
Unless they're actually carrying something real.
So it's not just about, like, choosing the right words.
Yeah.
It's about, like...
Imbuing them. With your full attention. With genuine emotion.
That's what made that Acres of Diamonds speech so impactful, right?
It wasn't just rote repetition. It was about connecting with the audience on a deeper level. Conveying a message that he truly believed in.
And that authenticity, like, shines through.
It does.
No matter how many times the speech has been given.
No matter how many times.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder, are there any, like, practical steps?
Well, the chapter emphasizes willpower.
Okay.
But it also suggests some concrete strategies.
Okay, like what?
One that really stood out to me was this idea of actively withdrawing our attention from distractions.
So like putting our phones away, silencing those notifications, maybe even physically removing ourselves.
It's about creating space
from distracting environments.
Yes, for focused attention.
Okay.
Both for yourself and for the person you're communicating with.
It's like we're going back to that burning glass.
Remember? Yeah. We need to eliminate anything that might scatter that beam of focus.
It's almost like we need to declutter our mental space.
I love that analogy.
Yeah?
It highlights the importance of intentionality.
Right, like being mindful.
We need to be mindful of where our attention is going and make conscious choices about what we allow in.
So instead of just letting our minds run on autopilot,
you gotta steer it.
We gotta steer them towards
what you want to focus on.
What we want to focus on.
Yeah.
I like that. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes.
Okay.
It's like you're building a muscle.
Oh, yeah.
The more you use it,
the stronger it gets.
The stronger it gets.
This is all making a lot of sense, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
How does this concept of like concentration play out on a larger scale?
Okay.
Let's go back to that war editorial for a minute.
Right.
The impact of that piece wasn't just about the writer's concentration. You're right.
It was also about...
It was about the message itself.
A message itself.
And how it was structured.
But I think concentration plays a key role in shaping those elements.
A focused mind is more likely to craft a clear, compelling argument.
Right. And to choose words that resonate.
Yes. And to structure the message in a way that keeps the audience engaged.
So concentration isn't just about like...
It's not just about
delivering a message.
It's about crafting the message.
With impact.
Yeah, with clarity and intention.
It's like the foundation of effective communication.
Without that solid base of focus, everything just crumbles.
This has been really insightful. You know, when we first started talking about concentration, I thought it was going to be about like stage presence and like projecting your voice.
I know.
But this is so much deeper than that.
It really is. Yeah. And I think the chapter does a brilliant job of highlighting how thought and feeling and expression are all interconnected.
It's like that old saying.
What's that?
It's not what you say.
Right.
It's how you say it.
Yeah, but this takes it a step further.
It does.
It suggests that how you say it is really linked.
Inextricably linked.
To how you think it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've given us a lot to think about.
I hope so.
But before we let you go, I have to ask.
Yeah.
What's your biggest takeaway from this whole deep dive?
You know what's really stuck with me is that concentration is not just about effort. It's also about choice. We choose what we focus on.
Right.
We choose where to direct our mental energy.
And those choices.
And those choices have consequences.
They do.
They shape not only how we communicate, but also how we experience the world around us.
It's like we've been handed this amazing tool for connection.
It's this incredible tool.
It's an understanding.
But we often forget to use it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is exciting.
It is.
And a little bit intimidating.
It is.
At the same time.
It's like we've been given this amazing tool
right.
for connection and understanding.
Yeah.
But we often forget to use it.
And it sounds like from this chapter,
yeah,
the key to unlocking that tool is awareness. Right?
I think so.
Noticing where our minds are wandering. When we get distracted, we're like anticipating instead of really listening.
That's a big part of it.
It is.
Paying attention to your attention, because once you're aware of those habits, those patterns of distraction, then you can start to make those conscious choices about where you're going to put your focus.
So it's not just about...
It's not just about brute force.
Brute forcing our way to concentration.
It's about cultivating mental mindfulness, a sensitivity to where your thoughts are going.
And that mindfulness then allows us to choose what deserves our attention.
And if we think back to that burning glass, that's how we generate that intensity, that focused mental energy that makes our communication so powerful.
Yeah, it's like we're choosing what to ignite.
Like you're picking what you're going to light.
With that mental laser beam.
With that laser beam.
I like that.
Yeah.
And the more we practice that choosing, the more adept we become.
The better you get at it.
At directing our mental energy.
It becomes less about effort and more about a habit.
Okay.
A cultivated habit of focus.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
I'm feeling inspired.
Good.
Start paying more attention to my attention.
Me too.
What about you?
Yeah.
What's one small step you're going to take based on what we've talked about?
You know, for me, I think I'm going to try to incorporate more pauses into my conversations.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not just to gather my thoughts, but to actually really listen to the other person, absorb what they're saying before jumping in.
Before you jump in.
With my own ideas.
I love that goal.
Yeah.
I might have to steal that one.
Feel free.
And for our listener, if you're looking for a small step, how about this?
Yeah.
The next time you're in a conversation, try to notice when your mind starts to wander.
Oh, yeah.
Don't judge yourself.
Just observe.
Just observe.
It's the first step to a more concentrated, mindful way of communicating.
That's great advice.
Thanks.
This has been a fascinating exploration of the power of concentration.
I think we're all going to be listening a little more attentively from now on.
I think so, too.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Then remember, the power to communicate effectively starts with the power of your own focused attention.